The cafe was buzzing with the usual lunchtime crowd, but amid the chatter and clinking of cups, something unusual was about to happen. A young waitress, nervous but determined, spotted the CEO sitting alone at a corner table, a sleek glass of sparkling water in front of him. She had rehearsed her words over and over in her head, but this time, she didn't have to speak them aloud. Quietly, she slipped a small folded note onto his table. The words on it were simple but urgent: "Don't drink it, and leave now." The CEO glanced down at the note, his eyes widening as he read the message. For a moment, the world around him seemed to blur, the chatter of the cafe fading into silence. The waitress approached again, and in a heartbeat that felt like a lifetime, he reached across the table, grasping her hand. His voice was low but firm, carrying a mix of surprise and curiosity. "You wrote this for me." From that instant, tension crackled in the air. Who was trying to harm him, and how had this young waitress known in time to warn him? The cafe felt smaller, the people around them oblivious to the storm that had just been set in motion. The CEO's hand tightened around hers, and a silent question hung between them. Should he trust her, or was this the start of something far more dangerous than either of them imagined? Everyone watching might think it's just another cafe encounter, but this was the moment everything changed. What happened next would defy all expectations. The CEO's mind raced as he stared at the young waitress, trying to piece together how she had known something was wrong. Her eyes, wide and earnest, didn't show fear, they showed purpose. She seemed ordinary at first glance, but there was a quiet confidence in the way she held herself, a sense that she had seen danger before and knew how to act fast. He remembered arriving at the cafe that morning, expecting nothing more than a quick lunch between meetings. But now, with her hand in his, he realized how close he had come to stepping into something he couldn't yet understand. The note was simple, almost casual in its wording, yet it carried a weight that made his pulse quicken. Who had left it for her, and how had she intercepted it in time? As the waitress led him to a quieter corner of the cafe, she whispered, "I don't have much time to explain. Just trust me." Her voice trembled slightly, not from fear, but urgency. He wanted to ask questions, so many questions, but the intensity in her eyes told him she expected immediate action. Outside, the sky was beginning to darken, shadows creeping along the sidewalks as if the city itself was holding its breath. The CEO's mind flickered to thoughts of who might be behind this, and why someone would target him in a crowded cafe. He knew he was not supposed to trust strangers, yet something about her insistence and courage made him pause. Every instinct in his body warned him danger was near, and yet he couldn't shake the feeling that this young waitress might be the only person who could help him navigate the storm that was about to hit. The cafe felt suddenly claustrophobic, and the note's warning echoed in his mind: "Don't drink it, and leave now." The CEO's grip on the waitress's hand tightened slightly as they moved toward the back exit of the cafe. Every step seemed measured, almost surreal, as if the world had shifted into slow motion around them. He glanced around, noticing the ordinary faces of customers and staff, completely unaware of the invisible threat hovering nearby. Someone in this room, someone he didn't know, had tried to put him in danger. The thought sent a chill down his spine. The waitress kept her eyes forward, her expression unreadable, but he could sense layers of a story she hadn't shared yet. She had a purpose, and it wasn't just about saving him from a single drink. He remembered seeing her earlier in the day, moving through the cafe with quiet efficiency, greeting tables and taking orders. But now every small action she had taken seemed significant, almost like pieces of a puzzle he didn't yet understand. As they stepped outside, the city felt different, sharper, more dangerous. The waitress glanced around nervously before speaking. "You have to listen to me. There's more going on than you realize. This isn't just about a warning. Someone's been tracking you for days." Her voice was steady, but the urgency behind it made his heart pound. Meanwhile, inside the cafe, a man in a dark coat watched the back door, a phone pressed against his ear. He spoke softly, almost in a whisper, but the tension in his posture revealed he was waiting for something critical to unfold. The conflict wasn't just between the CEO and an unknown threat, it was bigger, involving unseen forces pulling strings from the shadows. The CEO realized that trusting the waitress might be his only chance to stay safe, and yet, he couldn't shake the feeling that every move they made was being anticipated, that leaving the cafe might only be the beginning of a far more dangerous chase. The streets outside the cafe felt unusually quiet, the hum of traffic muted as if the city itself was holding its breath. The CEO followed the waitress through winding alleys, his mind spinning with questions he didn't dare ask yet. Every shadow seemed to twitch with movement. Every passing car, a potential threat. He realized he had no idea who he could trust or if anyone at all could be trusted. The waitress suddenly stopped near a dimly lit corner and pulled him behind a delivery truck, pressing a hand over his mouth for a moment before speaking in a hurried whisper. "They've been watching the building for hours. Whoever's after you doesn't want anyone else to know, but they're not careful. That's our chance." Her eyes flicked nervously toward the street, scanning for signs of pursuit. The CEO's pulse raced. He felt the weight of the danger pressing down, knowing that one wrong step could mean disaster. As they crouched in the shadows, he noticed a second figure emerging across the street, moving deliberately, phone in hand. The tension between them was electric, like a wire about to snap. He realized the threat wasn't just immediate, it was organized, precise, and possibly closer than he had imagined. The waitress leaned in, her voice barely audible, yet urgent. "We have only minutes. I need you to follow exactly what I say. One mistake?" She let the sentence hang in the air. The CEO's hand tightened on hers again, a mix of fear and resolve coursing through him. The waitress noticed his pause and leaned in quickly, her breath shallow. "They can intercept anything, phones, cameras, even your security detail. We don't have time to argue. Trust me, or we'll be too late." Her eyes darted nervously down the alley, and for the first time, he saw a flicker of fear in her expression. She was usually so composed, so certain. As they moved again, a sleek black car rolled slowly past, headlights cutting through the darkness. The CEO's instincts screamed danger. He realized that the threat wasn't just a random attack, it was personal, targeted, and calculated. Whoever was behind this had been planning it for days, maybe weeks, and now, they had him cornered in a city he thought he knew. Then, without warning, a second figure stepped from the shadows directly in their path, a person the CEO recognized. It was someone he had trusted in the past, someone whose betrayal he never would have suspected. His heart sank as the waitress whispered, "This changes everything. We can't go the way we planned. You need to listen to me more than ever." The tension snapped taut, every step now loaded with peril. The stakes had risen, the danger closer than ever, and the choices they made in the next moments could determine everything. The audience could feel the suspense building, each heartbeat echoing the threat that loomed larger than anyone expected. The CEO's pulse thundered in his ears as he faced the figure blocking their path. Recognition hit like ice. This was someone he had considered an ally, someone who had worked closely with him for years. Betrayal and shock collided in his mind, but before he could react, the waitress stepped forward, her hand still gripping his. "Don't move," she said firmly, her voice steady despite the danger. The figure smirked, taking a step closer, confident in their control. But in a sudden move, the waitress reached into her apron pocket and pressed a small device against the ground. A sharp, piercing alarm echoed through the alley, disorienting the attacker for a split second, enough time for the CEO to act. Instincts kicking in, he grabbed the figure's arm, twisting it and forcing them to the ground. The betrayal was neutralized, but the tension hadn't fully lifted. Somewhere nearby, other threats could still be waiting. They didn't pause. The waitress led him through a hidden side exit, bringing them to a deserted rooftop overlooking the city. For the first time in hours, they could breathe, but the danger hadn't completely passed. "You need to know," she said, her gaze fixed on him. "The people behind this, they've been tracking more than just you. They know about me, too, and they're not going to stop." The CEO lowered himself onto the edge of the rooftop, the adrenaline slowly ebbing from his body. Beside him, the waitress leaned against the railing, her hand still lightly brushing his. The city stretched out beneath them, calm and glittering, a stark contrast to the chaos of the past few hours. For the first time, he allowed himself to breathe and reflect. "I don't even know your name," he said, a small smile breaking through his tension. She returned the smile faintly. "Maya," she said, "I've done this before. You were just lucky I was here today." His gaze met hers, realizing that her courage and quick thinking had not only saved his life but changed the course of events entirely. Back at the cafe, questions had been answered, the glass he almost drank from had been poisoned, the mysterious figure was exposed as a traitor he once trusted, and the hidden threat had been neutralized for now. But beyond the immediate danger, a new respect had formed between them. Trust, courage, and quick thinking had turned an ordinary cafe encounter into a life-altering experience. As dawn began to break, the CEO realized something else. Life was fragile, and moments of human connection could arrive when least expected. Maya had reminded him that bravery often came in unexpected forms, and sometimes, listening to someone who seemed ordinary could make all the difference. With the city waking beneath them, he nodded to her. "Thank you, Maya. I don't know how I would have made it without you." She just smiled, a quiet acknowledgement that sometimes heroes appear in the smallest, most unassuming ways. The danger was over, the story concluded, but the lesson lingered. Vigilance, trust, and courage could change everything.